What's up guys, Sci-Fi Guy 2094 here. I'm going to do a quick review. So with the new movie 28 years later coming out, went to the theater, watched that, gave my review, really liked that movie. Then I had to revisit 28 days later because it had been ages since I'd seen that one. So I really liked that one as well. And now I'm going to review 28 weeks later. Okay, so 28 weeks later is the second film of the franchise. It had been ages since I saw this one as well, so had to give this one a watch. This one centers around a family, so basically it's like a father, his teenage daughter, and his young son. And after the outbreak in London, they have set up this safe zone. Basically, everybody who wasn't affected kind of died out from starvation. So they have this safe zone that's kind of away from the main city. We're introduced to the father in the first scene. He's kind of held up in this house with a couple people. You know, it's him and his wife, and basically the zombies attack. Unfortunately, he basically leaves his wife for dead. She's asking for help, and he's just like, he's too scared, and he just runs away. So basically, she seemingly dies. Fast forward a little bit, he makes it to the compound, and basically, you know, he gets off the train, and well, actually, it's his kids. His kids get off the train. They're at this new compound, which is like virus free, and they do screenings and all that stuff. So they get off the train, they meet him, and they're like, well, where's mom? And he's like, she's basically dead. So he thinks that the mom died. So basically, you know, this is like a military compound, kind of governmental. They got to make sure everybody who comes in is not infected, and there's very tight restrictions and all those things. So things start to go awry because these kids sneak out, and basically the little kid, the boy, doesn't want to forget his mom's face. So they sneak out, they go into the city to their old house, they get a picture, and actually their mom is there. You know, she returned to the house. You know, she's infected, but she's not affected by the rage virus. So, you know, she is almost seemingly somewhat violent, but she's not like a rage zombie. So she's kind of like going after the boy a little bit because like he gives her a hug, and then she starts like squeezing really tightly. So then they get out of the house, and then the military's there. So they take everybody into custody. They have to, you know, they take them back to the compound. They're all decontaminated and all that good stuff. They basically like strip this lady naked and scrub her down. So this doctor is like, okay, well, she's definitely affected. I mean, she's definitely infected by this virus, but here's the catch. She's just a carrier. She's not really affected by the other symptoms, meaning like the uncontrollable rage, and the urge to just kill everything. So she's like, okay, I definitely need to study this person, because if it's like a genetic thing, then, or if it's acquired immunity, whatever the case may be, I need to study this person. And she's like, well, the kids may have natural immunity as well, so they're very important as well. So the husband comes, he sees his wife, and he's like, oh, I'm so sorry, you know, for leaving her. You know, they share this passionate kiss. Big mistake, because he's not immune. He's not basically just immune. He doesn't have the ability to fight off this virus. So as soon as they kiss, he basically turns. It's kind of sad because, you know, you can tell he loves his wife, but you know, that one kiss it just sealed the fate of the entire city, this entire compound. Because once he kisses her, he turns, and he basically just ripped her apart, you know, which that part was really sad. And then the guards come in, he attacks them, and now they're infected, and then the entire compound is starting to be overrun. You have the snipers up there. Jeremy Renner is one of the main characters, and eventually they're like, okay, it's like a code red or whatever. And I think Idris Elba is the guy that gives the order. I think he's like in charge of like the military aspect of this. He's like, okay, code red. Code red basically just means shoot on sight, because all these people are infected and there's a frenzy everywhere, and they can't tell who's infected and who's not, and they just want to contain the virus, and they can't take a chance about the infected versus the non-infected, so they're just like shooting anybody and everybody that moves. So this doctor, her plan is to like, get these kids out of here, because they could be important in developing a cure, because they could potentially have natural immunity due to their mother. So, and actually this kid, he has like one brown eye and one blue eye, or like a green eye, which is kind of, I don't know if they think that would be a characteristic to decide if somebody, or if that would be an indicator to see if somebody has it, because she hasn't done any tests on him yet. But basically he is bitten and he does not turn, so he is basically immune. So yeah, the doctor wants to get them off the island, but, well, not the island, but out of this new city. But unfortunately with Code Red, everybody is basically, it's shoot on sight. So this doctor has to get these two kids out of there so they can be studied and hopefully develop an antiviral medication. So Jeremy Renner's character, he basically he rejects all these orders. He was a sniper. He was like supposed to be killing people during Code Red, but he has a change of heart, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna help these people get out of here. So he helps the doctor and the two kids get out. Unfortunately, there's a very sad scene where, I didn't remember that Jeremy Renner died, but, he gets out of the car to push the car to get it to start, and unfortunately, the military people and the quarantine people, they have these flamethrowers and they just burn him to death. And I was like, oh man, that's just brutal. I mean, they didn't know any better. They thought he was probably an infected person. They probably thought he was a zombie. There was all this gas and, all this mist. It was basically like a poison gas. So you could barely even see. But again, they weren't trying to save any lives at that point. They were just trying to kill everybody. So they get out. They make it to the stadium where the helicopter dude is waiting. And he's like, I think his name is like Doyle or something. He's like, where's Doyle? And they're just like, he just like figures out, okay, Doyle's dead. So they get in the helicopter, they fly away, and yeah, that's pretty much the end of it. The kids are safe. So if they can find another type of compound or something like that, then they could seemingly be tested for any type of natural immunity and synthesize a cure. So anyway, that's the end of that movie. I really like this movie. Like I said, it had been ages since I watched this film. It's not as good as the original, not as good as 28 Days Later. And this one's more action oriented. It's a little bit slow, when you're starting out. It's definitely not as horror oriented. I definitely say it's more action oriented. Once the actual frenzy starts in the city, once everybody starts to get infected, and then there's all the snipers on the roof and all that stuff. Overall, good movie. Again, I don't think it's as good as the first, and I don't think it's as good as the third. This is kind of that weird situation where the third one is actually better than the second film. Usually that doesn't happen. Usually the first film's the best in a series. Usually the second one is never as good as the first. And then usually the third one is not as good as either of the previous films. So this one, not as good as the first or the third, but I still liked it. So I would give 28 Weeks Later a solid 7 out of 10. It was great to revisit this, and I really liked it.